We said at the beginning of the Mass, we hear about foreigners today, strangers, outsiders. That's a common thread in these readings. When I was 6 years old, my family moved from Chicago Heights, Illinois, to Crete, Illinois, which is only 8 miles away. But we moved from a neighborhood that was 100% Catholic and almost entirely Italian, with neighbors like Tallarico and DiGiulio and Capriati, maybe an occasional Bartoshevitz, to a town where we had neighbors with names like Rausch and Fraley and Baker and Blair, and exactly 3 Catholic families. Now, I didn't realize until much later in my life how difficult it was, especially for my mom. We went from a neighborhood where we were surrounded by family and friends and people that spoke their first language to a neighborhood where we were foreigners, where we were strangers, outsiders. And I also didn't know until much later the extent to which we were made to feel not wanted. Not so much the children, but my parents. And how my mom anguished over whether her children were going to be accepted in this new community. Now, I just shared this story last week. This is my kind of, I wouldn't say famous peanut butter and jelly sandwich story, but I've told it several times, and I told it just last week. Until the 6th grade, I came home every day for lunch. We only lived a block away. We could do that then. And that meant that my grandmother was born in Italy, or my mother would fix me lunch every day. And that meant pasta every day or something Italian. Well, when I started junior high or middle school, I had my very first experience of eating away from home. So my mother, of course, fixed me what she knew I would love, which was a sandwich on good Italian crusty bread with all these Italian cold cuts. And then you top it off with something called giardiniera, which is this mix of olives and celery and peppers and things. You put that on a sandwich. It's unbelievable, but it's full of olive oil. So when you wrap that up in wax paper and you put it in a bag, by lunchtime, the bread is yellow from all of that olive oil seeping into it and making it even better. So I open up this sandwich, and the kids, my classmates, said, "Oh my God, that's gross. What are you eating?" So I'm mortified, of course. So I returned home that night to let my mother know, and so on no uncertain terms, that I wanted to eat what all the American kids were eating, like as if I'm not American, but says, "Mom, I want to eat what they're eating." She says, "Yes, sweetheart. What would you like?" I said, "I want a peanut butter and jelly sandwich," which I had never had before in my life, on Wonder Bread, and a Twinkie and an apple. She said, of course, whatever you want, dear." So, as I said, I'd never had a peanut butter jelly sandwich before in my life, and this is true. I was so proud of that sandwich the next day. And so I had that sandwich. That afternoon, I got deathly sick, probably from the flu. And I'm smart enough to realize there was probably no connection to that peanut butter and jelly sandwich and my sickness. But to this day, I have never had another peanut butter and jelly sandwich because the thought of it is revolting. Peanut butter, okay, yes. Jelly, okay, yes. Wonder Bread, never. But, my mom, God rest her soul, she was a loving mom. She was a mom who was willing to do anything for her children to help her child, me, or her other children feel as if they weren't an outsider. The woman, even though she was an outsider as far as Jesus was concerned, she throws caution to the wind and contradicts Jesus, saying, "Please, Lord, even the dogs eat the scraps that fall from the table of their masters." What she is saying, it doesn't matter what a person's status is if they believe. And she says, "I do believe." And Jesus praises that woman for her faith and for her love. She was willing to suffer rejection and abuse for her child, anything if it meant her child would be cured. And she had persistence. Her faith grew as she spent time with Jesus. She began with a request, and then she ended on her knees, paying him homage. And finally, the woman asks the Lord, "Help me." Well, think about it. Think about our own experiences. And what we hear and see in the scriptures. No one who ever sought Jesus with faith, whether they were Jew or Gentile, was refused his help. Jesus would never ignore a request as long as it was asked in faith. And nor should we ever be deaf to words like this in our own daily lives. The gospel presents us with some challenges. What is our attitude towards those not like us, whoever that might be? Are we willing to learn from others? Maybe someone we don't like, maybe someone we're a little afraid of. Are we willing to serve the other that's in our midst? Remember, Jesus said that we are to invite strangers, not just friends, to our homes, and whatever we do to anyone, even the least, we do to him. Jesus is asking us to hear the requests of the Canaanites in our own families, in our neighborhoods, in our schools, in our churches, in our countries. This is hard Christianity. It's easy to admit the attractive, the powerful, the wealthy, the healthy, the people that look like us, or maybe the useful immigrants into our lives. But what about the person who is not of our faith, not our color, not our sexual orientation, not so attractive, or the homeless, or the poor, or the person suffering from addictions, or the person suffering from mental illness that not only doesn't flatter us, but maybe curses us, or the immigrant that may not have useful skills? Do we look on all these as foreigners, strangers, as outsiders? I was born into an all-white, mostly Italian, all-Catholic neighborhood, and I did not know anyone who looked or thought differently from our true and authentic family. I did not know that there were boundaries. There were just others over there that really didn't matter. They were not wrong. They were not worthy of judging. They didn't merit our thinking about them. Jesus was ours, and I honestly thought that Jesus was Italian or maybe Lithuanian. Sometime, somewhere, someplace, we are all outsiders. We are all strangers. We all need mercy. We all need love. We all need the grace of God. And we all need to recognize those around us who are aching for love and the acceptance for which we all hunger.